today is I'm one of the 40 proud members of the Goldey-Beacom College family here to support Dr. Colleen Keith. So let me tell you a few things about Dr. Keith. She got her Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science from Binghamton University. Binghamton University, it has some of its notable alumni are William Baldwin, Paul Reiser, Tony Kornheiser, so you know Dr. Keith is extremely entertaining. She got her Master's of Education in Educational Counseling from Pitt. Some of the notable alumni from Pitt are Dan Marino. You have Mike Ditka. You have Tony Dorsett, so you know she's incredibly competitive. And she got her Doctor of Philosophy in Higher Ed Administration and Student Affairs from the Ohio State University. Some notable alumni are Jesse Owens and Jack Nicholas, which means that she's a legend. And so she came to Goldey-Beacom College after serving as president at Pfeiffer University, where she basically created dramatic double-digit increases in student enrollment over 3 and 4 years. And obviously Goldey-Beacom College saw that she could see the bigger picture and really lead us into the future. She's active in every community that she's been in, and she's even been a TEDx speaker. And she is really in charge of a bold new vision for the college. Now, all of that is really cool Wikipedia stuff. Right? So let me tell you why we actually love her. First of all, Dr. Keith believes in relationships. Just seeing her with her husband Barry around campus is one of the most beautiful things to see. In a world where we try to teach and talk about soft skills for students, that's one thing that she shows everyone on a daily basis, and we appreciate that. She took the job here at Goldey-Beacom College partially to be closer to her son and his hopefully soon-to-be fiance in DC, and also to help with her parents who are up in Syracuse, New York. So she really believes in family. She reveres her English bulldog, Daisy, who spends probably more time in our hallways than most of our commuting students, and who literally has a larger office than me. So I'm trying to work on that. That'd be great. She's a social media maven, and she oftentimes surprises students, including some of the doctoral students, by responding to some of their questions or concerns on social media, which I always thought was great. Her 5 a.m. battles with her elliptical machine are things of legend, where she comes up with a lot of her great ideas and tries to pull herself from her Stearns & Foster mattress to be able to get out of bed and make sure that she's able to do the work of the university. And I think above and beyond anything, one of the things I love about Dr. Keith is when I asked her if you could create a billboard that would be in front of the state of Delaware, what would it say? And she said, and I quote, "Be thoughtful and kind." And she said it like that. And I think that really, really just encapsulates everything about Dr. Keith. So Dr. Keith and I and the 40 other members of the Goldey-Beacom family here, we'd love to say that we love you more than peanut butter and potato chip sandwiches, which are our favorite snack. And we are so proud of you. So with that, I would like to bring up and honor Dr. Colleen Keith.
That was by far the nicest introduction I have ever had. And I see all my Goldey peeps. Yay! We don't have classes on Fridays, so they're really not cutting out on anything. I would say who's minding the store, and then I probably need to publicly apologize to Chuck Hammond, Chris Santamoro, and Allison White, because when I get on my elliptical at 5 a.m., I'm reading. And I will read something and I'll say, oh, wait a minute, I got to send this to those three. So they start getting text messages. And look at them. I feel bad. Not that bad, but it is. I do apologize publicly for doing that. I just can't really help myself. But I wanted to talk to you today and to say thank you, too, for this amazing honor. This is the first time that the 4 presidents have been in the room together. We've been trying to do this since June, but it took Stacy to make it happen. Stacy and Dan, yeah. So thank you. So this is awesome. But I thought I would talk to you a little bit about the shadows. We all live under shadows, whether we realize it or not. I grew up and I went to school in Parrish, New York. That's about halfway between Syracuse and Watertown, so way up north. About an hour from Seneca Falls, New York. How many are familiar with Seneca Falls, New York? In a group of women, we should be aware of that. It's considered the home of the women's movement. And because I lived that close, my school field trips as a kid and our social studies curriculum in my school often included the women's suffrage movement and the study of women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who started the women's movement with Susan B. Anthony. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was of particular interest to me growing up, and learning about her was just a normal part of my school experience. She was a housewife and a mother, the daughter of an attorney, and the wife of an abolitionist. She was raised around her father's law office, where she would debate with the young male law clerks about legal issues. Those opportunities helped her to develop her stances on issues that impacted the public and private lives of women, such as property rights, equal education, employment opportunity, and more liberal divorce provisions and child custody rights. Her thoughts about feminism grew out of real-life problems that women faced in her time, and she wanted to solve them. Stanton's thoughts on these issues are credited by some historians for laying the foundation for the three branches of feminism that we now see. The first one is liberal feminism, where the focus is on women's similarities to men and emphasizes equality. The second is cultural feminism, which celebrates women's differences from men and aims for gender equity. And three, dominance feminism, which focuses on male power and female submission and aims to overturn gender hierarchy. Some interesting tidbits about Stanton that I learned on those field trips and have carried with me for years. The first one is she cut the word obey from her wedding vows when she and Henry Stanton were married. Apparently, the minister was quite troubled by this, and by way of payback, he preached for an hour after the vows, they said. Then, this is a really interesting one, she published the Woman's Bible in 1895, 125 years ago this year, which was a secular examination of the Bible that looked at the implications of the Bible as it related to women. This was huge for its time. It'd actually be huge for this time, too. The Woman's Bible was a collection of essays written by women. One essay that got Stanton into hot water in her community was her take on the story of Eve in the Garden of Eden. Stanton's position was that the story was an allegory, not fact, and that Darwin's theory of evolution was more plausible when it came to the development of human beings over time. The Woman's Bible called into question widely accepted claims about the nature of God, God's esteem for and relation to women, and a woman's place within faith communities. Fast forward beyond 1895 to the 1960s and 70s, when I was growing up, and you see the struggle for the full ordination of women in Christian and Jewish traditions. And Stanton's work was often cited. I doubt Stanton would have envisioned a time when women were significant percentages of those in Protestant seminaries, and the ordination of women is commonplace in liberal Protestant and Jewish traditions. So that's the shadow under which I was educated and raised. When I went to college, I didn't think about how many of my women high school classmates did not. It was more an economic decision to not go to college rather than an entitlement decision. We were all first generation, and not all could figure out going to college right out of high school. I had a teacher who was instrumental in my going to college, and my parents were supportive of the idea. They valued education. But bottom line, living in the shadow of women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the importance of Seneca Falls, New York, and the women's movement made it so it didn't occur to me not to go to college. And from there, it never occurred to me that I couldn't be a college president if that's what I wanted to be. So for me, it's sometimes hard to think about being a barrier-breaking woman. I know I've faced barriers, but for me, they've just been speed bumps because I was raised in the shadow of Elizabeth Cady For sure, we now get to write our own stories as women. But barriers do still exist, and the ones that concern me the most, given my chosen profession, and I bet I can put the words in the mouths of these 3 colleagues I have, it has to do with access to post-secondary higher education and training for those women who want that. That's what breaking barriers means to me, to provide the means by which women and all students can have access to a quality post-secondary experience that prepares them for life. So thank you for this, and thanks for honoring me and my friends.